And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It is Monday, the 7th of the 7th, 2025. Happy Michael Voss Day, Paul.
7th of the 7th, hey? Yeah, happy Michael Voss Day. Yes, it's supposed to be a happy one, but it's been a bit of Monday-itis for everybody, I think, just with regards to what's going on. So looking forward to unpacking what's happened so far over the weekend and where we sit to date. So, yeah, there's a bit going on. Bit going on.
What was your 24 hours like after Friday?
Honestly, just work. That's it.
True. Check out.
That was it. Mate, I have not consumed one bit of Carlton content over the weekend. I've not consumed any bit of fan content over the weekend. I've not consumed any bit of club content over the weekend. The only thing I did watch was the replay of Friday night and the replay of the reserves, which were in stark contrast to each other, Terry. So, yeah, it's been a pretty flat weekend for our club. But on my end, nothing stops, mate. We've got bills to pay. We've got people to look after. We've got work time codes to punch in and punch out with, and life rolls on, mate.
Ain't that the truth, mate? Ain't that the truth? Mate, well, the Bull Ants showed a little bit more passion this week. Did you see them?
Bull Ants.
Away from home.
The Bull Ants. The Bull Ants actually did get a win. Yeah, now Carlton VFL team did get a win. They had a crack, didn't they? So what happens when you have 23 blokes buying in?
I'm tempted to start with the Carlton reserves just to give me an injection of something positive at this point.
But we won't. Well, all right, let's start with the reserves. Right? Well, let's start with the reserves. I watched the whole game, back from start to finish, and they started really well. They were headed, but they fought back, and there were some really good young blokes who have not been through the Chernobyl virus that is Carlton over their careers, who have shown what some youthful exuberance and energy can actually bring to this team. And I think that's maybe where we might have missed the trick throughout the whole season, Terry, floating these youngsters in and out before it becomes a disaster. And then before we get to that fork in the road where we make the decision on senior players and youngsters. So I think that's probably been to the detriment of us. And, you know, you probably don't want to play these youngsters at this point in time with the AFL team. But I was really impressed with some of these young kids who have shown that, you know, in trying times when there are spots up for grabs, that all of them, I would say, to a certain point, are really putting their hand up for selection and putting pressure on senior players now, which is great. I know people don't want to hear that. That's probably not where we want to be as a club, but that's the reality, is it not?
No, I think it's pretty clear now what's happening with this team. I think
they've got to make a call, mate. They've got to make a call one way or the other.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, we just did the ratings with Pommy.
He was brilliant, by the way. He was sensational from second one to the final second, mate. His whole rating show and his sentiment. Him and I, we sing from the same hymn book when it comes to, you know, the way we like to support our football clubs and the way we like to support sporting clubs, because, you know, I'm sort of cut from the soccer cloth, because I love that passion and the way in which fans engage in that regard and the standards that are set there. But I thought he was brilliant tonight.
Yeah, he always is. But we were talking about Flynn Young. Was the sub again, and then looking at his heat map, looking at his movement around the ground, it's like half forward, link up, conduit kind of player, half back.
Yeah, it's beggars belief, is it not? And then, you know, seeing Frankie Evans deep in defence in that game as well just does him no service either at AFL level. And, you know, I've seen people ripping the absolute life out of him, which is, you know, there are bigger issues at play than Frankie Evans at the moment. And, you know, I've never understood why players who show strengths in one particular role and have played in those particular roles in VFL and have played in those particular roles with other clubs and in their draft years, and then they come into the team. I understand you have to broaden your horizons when it comes to positioning, and maybe you have to be fluid to that point. But I mean, there just comes a point in time where you've just got to play a play to their position and play a play to their strengths. And I don't think we do that a hell of a lot, which is really frustrating. And we make moves when it's not really going for us after the disaster happens.
Well, it's really interesting to see who has the trust of the coaches and who clearly doesn't. And then you're left wondering, why do some of these players still have that trust from the coaches?
Well, it's almost back to what we saw under David Teague to a certain point, that he went back to the, in inverted commas, tried and tied players, isn't it?
Is that when he put Murphy back in the middle?
Yeah, Ed Curnow back on the ball. And, we probably, and I think this is the point at the moment, is that we probably, under that regime to a certain point, when it was the end of Bolton and the start of Teague, I think the end of Bolton, people sort of realised that we probably went too far down the lambs to the slaughter area when it came to blooding youngsters. We cut the list back too far, and we threw too many youngsters into the team, and that was detrimental to their form and results. And then Teague came in and said, no, we need to get some bigger bodies on the ball, some more experienced players, and we did. But then when results didn't start to go our way, he continued down that path. But now we're kind of at the point where we're at the crossroads again, where if we go down the youth path, which we're more than likely going to do, we will likely to a certain point forego results and performances and consistency, because you're bringing in players that aren't ready with regards to their body to a certain point, with regards to physicality, with regards to running patterns. And there's the issue of cohesion, which isn't the case for Collingwood. But they are a far more unified group at the moment than what we are on all accounts, on field and off field.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do it. Friday.
Well, look, I'm loath to admit this, very loath to admit this, but I will, and say that I did leave early, very early, Terry. It's the first time I've ever done it in my life.
How early is early?
Halftime.
Bullshit.
No, halftime. Yeah, which I look back at now, and it's probably I think in my own mind it was the right move, because I was at that point where it was just detrimental to me to stay at the game. That's how I see it. That's how I saw it. And I had work the next morning, and I'm like, look, I need to get a good sleep. And then we conceded that goal right on the halftime siren, and I could see the way the game was going.
Yeah.
And I knew as a club we're at this point where I just knew they weren't going to fight back. I knew they weren't going to fight back. And I thought, you know what? As a punter, sometimes you've got to cut your losses. And I just turned to my closest mate, who I go with every week, Michael Maloney. Big shout out to him. I'm sure he'll be watching. And I just shook his hand and said, Michael, I'm off. I'll see you next week at Marvel.
Yeah, I was with my brother, and he was with his mate, and we had originally had a row with a lot of us, my sister, my brother-in-law, a few friends, and like no one came except my brother, and he left maybe 10, 15 minutes into the fourth, and I was grappling with him, like, just get up, like, just fucking get up and walk away. I'll just go watch the last 5 minutes.
So you had a row booked, all of you, and no one, the majority didn't come.
And then we had like 4 or 5 of us in our crew with some others, and it ended up just being, well, my brother and I, but lucky he had a mate with him, and ended up coming. Otherwise, so I was like battling at the fourth corner. I'm like, get up, like, just stop being so stubborn, like, just get up. So I got up, went to level 1, and I watched until Maya Check had the shot on goal with a minute to go. And then for the first time in my life ever, I heard the final siren while I was outside the stadium, like, ever. But like, it doesn't mean it, it doesn't mean anything.
No, I know what you mean.
But it was just to get it out of your head, to just walk out, like, just get out. And I think I might leave earlier if we keep going down this path, and which we probably will. So I don't know. I saw you.
They were disgraceful on Friday.
Yeah,
Pitiful.
It's getting so embarrassing.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting what the dross they dished up on Friday night. And there's no excuse for it. So, I can harp on about it and talk about, I could talk about all the stats, all the data, all the numbers, the way we set up. But you can have the best system in the world, mate. When you've got minds that have clocked out and checked out, and that's inclusive of the coaches. Hope. And the two clubs coming up against each other were polar opposite on Friday night, and the result was telling of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. LS $5 says here, Voss did this exact same thing at Brisbane. He backed veterans and neglected the youth until it was too late. We knew who he was, and we hired him anyway. Yeah.
Yep. No, it's a fair comment.
So I mean, yeah. Look, I'm kind of with you. We just did the ratings, and there's not much to say from the game, apart from maybe some sprinklings of kids and maybe clearing up the Charlie Curnow footage. That was very cheeky by the broadcast. Did you?
Well, they got me sucked in as well, and then I realized, hang on, there's a countdown clock in the background. That's before the game.
Yeah, they showed it as if it was 3/4 time. Charlie high-fiving Darcy Moore.
Yeah, and he's always been a bit cheeky and bash that way and all that, but irrespective if it's before, during, or after the game, look, me personally, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my cup of tea. I know you've got a cup of tea at the moment, or you've got something there, but that's I don't like that.
But the Blue Aid.
Oh, the Blue Aid. Okay, right. I don't like it. That's me personally, right? So make of that what you will. I mean, if you gave the fan mentality over to when it comes to Carlton Collingwood in that particular moment, I don't think anybody's high-fiving any Collingwood players before the game starts. And then you look at what Braden Maynard does. Bloke's pounding his chest before the game.
Yeah. They're so in tune with it. And then I think Charlie, the last time I saw him do like a media interview was the one before his clinic, and he sort of spoke like Charlie does. And, Charlie's Charlie, but his post-game was just completely falling in line and pretty empty words. It's just
shocking.
It's just getting harder and harder to hear word after word, and it's just like so deflating at this point.
Yeah, well, we're just asking for someone to actually be themselves for once. Not this rhetoric, this corporate speak that we hear week in, week out, and I think that's just plagued the club at the moment. God, does that lead to results or long-term success on the field? Yeah, probably to a point it does, but we're all searching for some truth and some realness and some authenticity with this club at the moment, and I don't think we see it at the minute, which is there are some things going on in and around the game that in the build-up as well that just, oh my God, we are just a lost cause at the moment. I've got a lot of questions actually tonight that I want to raise to people and you as well. That I think we want answers for at the moment, and we don't have them.
Nah,
we'll get onto. But
I was saying earlier, like, sometimes a season doesn't go your way, but for it to collapse so quickly, like if you really think about how rapidly the season collapsed, you can make the case it collapsed in round one. You genuinely could.
The first month it was.
Yeah. But I think, it's footy, and we've seen 0-4, and maybe you scrap your way out of it, and then you get to those Sydney GWS games and you realize, like, oh no, like this poison is infecting them, and like we're not even going to be at round 19 and saying, oh, remember 2020, maybe 2020, like it was dead, but also you got to round 18, 19, you're like, oh, we're really only a game out of the 8. Like it's not even, it's hopeless at the moment, completely.
Yeah, well, and then there's an argument too where people are comparing this whole thing to, Voss and Hardwick and Bomber Thompson, and at this rate, Terry, we'll finish bottom 5.
I mean, I think I pushed back a few weeks ago. Someone said in a live chat, maybe on a team show, like, oh, we might not win a game for the rest of the year. I was like, nah, don't be ridiculous. And now I watch them play. I'm like they're broken. Like you can't fix something that's just so broken.
Yeah, and we know what you know what the circuit breaker is. The circuit breaker is the coach, mate. As it always has been, and it always will be.
The circuit. You think that'll?
Yeah. If you want results, right? If you want more wins than what you're probably going to get from now until the end of the season, the coach has to be moved on. That's the pressure valve release at the moment because all the pressure's on him. And I will say though, that 3/4 time address that Voss gave those leaders was warranted because they were, to use his words, fucking deplorable.
Yeah, but even
They
the way he
were
said it,
fucking deplorable, mate. And I agree with every single thing he said, irrespective of if that was Voss or Barassi or whoever it was saying it, irrespective of if the coach is competent or incompetent, right? What he said at that point in time was totally factually accurate.
Did you come across Nathan Buckley's comments?
I did, yes. I do agree with him to a point. But that's the thing. When you take this mantle, mate, you take it all on, mate. You take everything on. You take the fans on. You take the board on. You take the players on. You take everything on. You take everything on. All the pressure that comes with it.
Yeah.
With being a big Melbourne club.
No, but the part where he was speaking about like whatever environment, I mean, he was guessing, which most, if not all of us are. We're making as educated a guess as we can, but he was saying it reminded him and it made him think of a team that's got this entitlement. And the reality is these stars who were paid on potential 5 years ago with long-term contracts.
Yeah.
The time for that potential to be here and dig deep and grit the teeth when times get tough has arrived, and they can't do it for whatever reason. And he was questioning that environment of entitlement. And
so what does define entitlement? What does that look like? What I mean, even on his end, like because I suppose to all of us that brand on a group of players with regards to our football club and our highest paid players it would probably be a little different for everybody. So when you say, I would assume if you were to say, oh, the players are entitled, and Buckley said the players are entitled, what exactly do you mean by that? Because I've got my idea of it, and I assume it would be very, very similar. We'd be singing from the same hymn book to a point.
I think in this case, the entitlement, and it extends, but I do think in this case it means to receive something you didn't truly earn.
Yeah.
And act accordingly, and not be able to put up your end of the bargain. David King uses the phrase lately, and I've been latching onto it. If you put your hand out, you've got to put your hand up. And when it gets really tough, and there's pressure everywhere, everyone's feeling it, and that's just again the nature of the beast. It is a beast, but yeah, we just. Too few, it just crumbles. It crumbles and it's left for too few. And then you just see the too few that are left that it's crumbled to. Like they're gone as well. What do you see? How do you?
Well, I see that the crowd numbers that they are getting, they do not deserve. So I'm sure they treat that with a sense of contempt because they just think that it's always going to be there to a certain point. And then when it's not, then you realize it. What's the saying? Is it? You don't know what you've got until you've lost it. Is that right? Is that the right saying?
You can't truly know what you've got until you lost it in some ways.
Exactly. Which they will see on Thursday night. They will see it. There will be 30,000 there if they're lucky on Thursday night. If they're lucky. Did they deserve 75,000 at the MCG on Friday night, given what they've dished up this year?
No. No.
Do they? I know this is such a generalized and maybe a low level assessment, but do a lot of these senior players, based on what we've seen so far this season, deserve 100% of their pay packets?
No, of course not.
I wouldn't have thought so. A lot of senior blokes are not cutting their share of the bargain, mate. So I believe they are entitled to a point. Absolutely they are, right? But is there an overarching leader in the club that can shatter that can break through that? That's the question.
I don't know if it's one person. I just don't know if one person can come in and drop the hammer of wrath in. I know we're all thinking it's going to be Graham, right? Maybe he can with the fear of change, but is it really going to be about one person implementing something that everyone's going to buy into? Because there are so many angles that capture the club.
Well, I'm big on one or two of these senior players being broken up from the squad. I really do think that needs to happen for them to realise the weight of what is going on. But again, they're locked into guaranteed contracts, aren't they? And I look at the way I look at it is these players that are on the high wage bracket and high salary bracket are being paid more if not the same as players who are better than them and who have achieved maybe more than them individually and more than them as a team and as a collective. I mean, all this group has to hang their hat on is a preliminary final, which is a step up from where they were. So they are, I suppose, to a point. I speak of, Cripps and Walsh and Curnow and Mackay and De Koning, all those senior players and Doherty and whatnot. They have leveled up when it comes to what they've achieved on the field. They've got to a preliminary final, but that's not good enough.
Yeah. LS here. Caught lightning in a bottle in 2023, and that taught them that 70% effort was enough. It didn't just paper over the cracks, it backfilled the chasms.
It's a great call. But do you think we were all, like even last year, the way each season has ended, 2023, 2024 into 2025, do you agree that they were granted a sense of, okay, you've got there, last year was like injuries were brutal, let's try and fix that up, and we go into this season thinking, okay, we don't need to completely change everything, we're happy to give you another crack at it? That's how I felt.
Okay, so let's play out 2023.
Right.
Sure. Caught lightning in a bottle. And for a lot of us, the best thing we had seen was 10 years prior, Jeffy Garlett jumping over a player running in to go. And
well, that's exactly. So it's a level up, mate. It's a level up.
So for us, it was like, of course we were excited, because for those of us who don't know what a flag is, like experiencing that, we're like, oh my God, okay, we figured it out. Everyone hold on. So, and do you remember the question marks going into 24? Was it just a fluke, or will they continue the form? And then, for 2/3 of the year, they kind of continued the form, and even through injuries played through it. And we all thought, fuck, this is tangible. And then it obviously collapses. And then last year, the big one was, Russell's just got to go. Strength and conditioning is just the final piece. And, we've got the pieces, and, we've been top 2 for the, majority of this year. And if we can just get bodies on the park, add some speed and power to the game plan in 2025, then, we make up those 3-4 games that we lost to the back end of 2024. And we're not worrying about beating the Saints last game of the year to make finals, that sort of thing, and limping into finals. And obviously it's gone wrong in a number of ways. There has to be something specific in the locker room that's happened to break them.
Yeah, of course.
Or is that just that's a guess. That's speculation, but
well, imagine. So this is where it's at, right? And again, this is no excuse, but you pump yourself up all preseason, you do all these sessions and whatnot. And I've got a quote for you here, and this is brilliant. And I know you'll like this. This is from Kobe Bryant, is he one of your athletes, mate? You love a bit of Kobe?
Mamba mentality. Yeah,
you love it. I love a bit of Kobe Bryant as well. And this was the quote. This was on July 5th. I just caught wind of it on X, Twitter. It says, when Kobe Bryant said his insane level of confidence came from knowing he'd done all he could to prepare, it taught me that any time I'm nervous, it means I didn't prepare enough. Yeah. These players are not prepared enough. This club's not prepared enough.
Clearly. No, clearly.
That's it. They're not prepared
enough. The hard
enough.
work shows. Yeah, the hard work shows. And you're not going to get ahead during the season. You get ahead in the off season.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You look. It's one sample size. One sample size. Last Monday, what you saw last Monday at training, did that give you any confidence that we were prepared for Friday night?
You know what I was talking about this on the team show, right? And I was like, sometimes I go to training and I see things like that, and I thought, I don't want to be paranoid and I don't want to fearmonger, but
of course not.
It genuinely mirrored the way that they played, the way that they trained last week with the 20 or 24 of us that were there, mirrored the way they played.
Yeah.
The handball to the ground.
At the start, it's all easy. Everyone's up and about. We're here, put the cones out, everyone's singing the tunes. As the drill goes on, as the games go on, it gets quieter and quieter and quieter. And then you just lull into that run through the motions. It gets quieter and quieter. Someone misses a kick. Oh, it's okay. Someone misses a handball. It's okay. someone isn't standing where they need to be. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Next one. And then at the end, they're all up and about because they're all having pot shots at goal from the fence.
Yeah.
And they're kicking them all.
Yeah. It mirrors exactly what we see on game day, and that's just the truth.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's frustrating, but yeah. I mean, but the thing is, right, and these players, who are their managers? Their managers are the coaches, right? Line coaches, head coaches, right? Not one of them said anything on Monday. Raise your voice, raise your standard. But it wasn't there. So maybe do they know to a certain point that they're probably all, people looking over their shoulders, new executives at the club. Certain people know that they're probably gone. So you rock up to work. Are you really, really buying in if you know that you're probably on the outer? Probably not.
No, you go into
Probably not.
You don't know who you don't know if you're going to be. Well, how many of them are out of contract? 12, 13. So there's those guys that don't know if they'll be there. There's contracted players that might not even know if they'll be there. They don't know if their bosses will be there. They don't know how many of their staff members around them will be there. It's just such a failure by the club.
Yeah, and then this is where, I haven't really gone ballistic this year, only because if we didn't address what I feared were real issues for us in the off season, that we would get a season like this where we would potentially miss the 8. I still, but for me, I still backed in my mind. It was like, okay, if I can see what the issues are, surely the people at the club who are employed can see what the problems are and do their best to alleviate those issues to a point. I talk about, defending efficiently, managing egos and relationships and whatnot. But then as the season has gone on, I just thought, okay, I could see these issues last year. I gave you benefit of the doubt. I thought, okay, it was probably a personnel issue. Let's try and remain fit this year. And then we should be able to a certain point, kick on. And at the bare minimum, if it was to go a little pear-shaped, either just miss the 8 or scrape in, right? And again, that is still not good enough, but it's a standard you set and a foundation you set, but we could be below that, which is what is really to a point concerning me. But I haven't gone ballistic this year because I can see that there are some good young players below that I think will definitely guide us forward. But my fear is that I don't want them to be subject to what the end of the season will be. That's what I don't want.
As in you think it could damage them?
Yes. Yeah.
But then on the flip side, do you want to see these senior guys that shouldn't be there out there? It's such
but this is what I want. My take on it is, if we're going to start to play these youngsters, which in hindsight, that means you're planning for 2026, right?
Yeah.
So if they've made this call that your head coach and certain coaches aren't the people for 2026, then in my mind, there's no point marrying up the inexperienced children or inexperienced players you're going to play and rely upon next year moving forward into the coaches you've got at the moment.
Yeah.
Or it could work the other way, where those kids are actually showing some signs under this particular coach, but it could also be because of Luke Power, our VFL coach and our development coach down there. So a lot of decisions to be made. But again, look, these players and coaches, this mix is not working.
No.
And even before that, right, it was not working because it's fallen away, and we haven't achieved the ultimate so far.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, mate, they could come out and just say, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's highly, highly unlikely. They could say, oh, no, look, coach is the guy. The assistants are the ones that have been terrible. The line coaches are the ones who have let us down all year. They could make that decision. I don't think that's going to be the case.
This is that period in time where the finger pointing happens because people are trying to save their own jobs.
Yeah. We're back here again, aren't we?
Yeah, we're literally back here again 4 years later.
Yeah.
At least we had a prelim to show for the last 4 years, I guess. So it does have that that typical Carlton inevitability. Like, this is the only type of Carlton you and I really know of. We hear about the fairy tales of the past and how magical the days used to be, and I'm sure they were great, and I'm happy for everyone that lived through them. But this is the real Carlton that you and I have only really known, just dysfunctional and,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the first time that the club has gone through a full-scale rejig of what they are and what they stand for. And at the end of it, with these senior core players, it unfortunately at the moment it hasn't really led to the ultimate. And I think you said it last week that just because you restart, in inverted commas, the club and you go again, it's not guaranteed that you're going to do anything at the end of it.
Yeah.
We could end up like North Melbourne, where they got to a prelim under Brad Scott and Petrie and these senior players, Greenwood and Cunnington and Del Santo and all that, and then that was it for them. That was it.
I'm now pretty convinced that's where we're at.
Well, I don't think it will be, because as a club, with regards to our resources, I don't think it will lead to that. But resources will only get you so far if there's no spirit in the joint. And you're not buying into an identity. That's the issue, isn't it? We raised that a couple of weeks ago.
You're just giving the kids fresh toys to play with, but they don't know. Like, they never got a Christmas where they didn't get the toy that they asked for because the family couldn't afford it. And so, Anyway, I think the next layer to the story is just the outpour. And I think maybe it's because it's Collingwood and it just creates more feeling and more passion and there's more venom, but the scenes are getting uglier.
Shocking.
Mainstream media are now baiting fans to turn on each other, and they're just ugly scenes. And I just think the last little bit of soul and spirit left is the fan base, and I worry about the next 7 weeks. I really do worry about the next 7 weeks, because the turning in on each other is
it's happening.
It can't be part of the solution. No matter what,
it's not.
It can't be.
Well, it's not. It's not.
It can't be.
And we've had this discussion over dinner and coffee and wines and beers before, and as far as I'm concerned, right, it's just childish, right? As far as I'm concerned, and I can't come into that type of discussion. I can lower myself to it and understand it, but mate, I'm here to talk about football. This is my role, and I see my vision with regards to all of this is I want to make this football club better on the field. That's why I come up with these shows and we connect, and anything else just pales in comparison, mate. I don't care. It's not. And you can't, the more you turn on each other, it's going to create division. If we're asking for unity inside the club, right, you cannot have division outside of it and within fragmentation. It's just, it's amazing that we've got a million podcasts out here, and, we're hearing about Carlton cliques inside the club. And now, we've probably got Carlton cliques outside the club as well, which
no doubt.
It shits me to tears. It shits me to tears. And look, irrespective of, everybody's going to have different opinions and different ways of trying to get to the ultimate to a certain point. But, at the end of the day, like, it's irrespective of that. Like, it just, once you start infighting and whatnot, that's just cause for disaster. But again, like, it's on, to point it back to what the issue is, you've got to create a harmonious environment on the field for it to become that off the field.
I actually think what we are seeing in this social media space is actually just a window into the Carlton culture. I don't think it's any different to what happens behind closed doors.
No, mate, it is a complete and utter mirror. A mirror.
It's just shining a spotlight. And, I obviously heard what happened last night, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I just don't want to get into back and forths. It's not for me. I have no issue with criticism, and if there are Carlton fans out there that felt let down by my interview with the president because
I'll criticize you. If I think you've done something wrong, I'll go for it, mate.
I'm not finished. If there's anyone out there that felt let down by my line of questioning, I'm accountable. I apologize, and that's on me, right? And that's fine. But my whole thing here is to give Carlton supporters an opportunity to come and speak. I have been so open for that. I can't put that link in the chat more after a loss or after a win, no matter what.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now, I'm accountable. I can always be better. I'm not perfect. I'm not the voice of the Carlton people. I'm a voice.
Correct.
There's hundreds of thousands of voices. I'm trying to listen more than what I'm speaking. That's my whole thing. There are a lot of analysts and brilliant minds out there that know the game and know numbers and just know things better than me. I'm not a guru. I'm literally just a Carlton fan that loves to listen and absorb. That's me. So I'm not going to engage in personal attacks with the platform. It's not what I built it for. I'm not going to tear people down. I'm not going to do that. I'll cop the strays and I still won't do it. It's unfortunate, and I don't think it's part of the solution moving forward. And that's all I've got to say about it. You know, my number is available to a lot of people, and you can reach me directly. If there's any issues, we can discuss absolutely anything. I can clear up absolutely anything. And that is what it is. You know, that is what it is. So the old guard, the new guard, whatever, like, unless we can find some way to actually remember what we are all connected by, we ain't doing anything as a club. Simple as that.
Yeah, well, it's a repeat of what happened when it all went to the shit last time, which is, you know, you'd have thought we'd have learnt from what it was. But again, it's when you look at it that way, and like whatever it may be, like if I think if I think you, mate, I'll criticize you, you criticize me. If I think you've gone wrong, that's where we've always had an open dialogue when it comes to that. And this is what
but
this
you
is all
call
about.
me directly. You call me on the phone and we have that discussion.
Yeah, of course. Like, right. Again, like if you feel you've done nothing wrong, and this is for anybody, don't apologize. That's it. That's it.
No, because we can't ask for accountability and not be accountable.
Yeah, of course, mate, 100%.
You know, and with growing platform audience numbers, like, you're gonna get pushback. That's to be expected. Otherwise,
I'd be worried if you didn't.
Yeah, don't play the game. So I'm not here to be loved by everyone. I focus on the ones that do enjoy it. And if there's anyone that doesn't enjoy it, just don't watch. It's okay. Just don't be here. I'm doing the best that I can with the knowledge that I do have. And for me, my position is this. I didn't need to fucking push and prod. He revealed himself anyway.
Yeah. It's plus two, and I said this as well. When it's hard when you meet someone for the first time. What are you're not going to attack them, are you? That's not the way.
Man,
it's not about the way.
We've all got a different way to do it, and that's and that's just the way it is. But I'd like to think that we all actually want the club to be successful, and it's pretty clear that we don't. But anyway,
well, yeah, I suppose everyone to a certain point has motives and a way in which they want to get there. But yeah, anyway, the only way to move on is to move forward. So
yeah, of course, it's done now, and we move forward now, and it is what it is. You asked a really interesting question about Thursday night and if people are going. And it actually got me thinking.
I did.
Because I'm like,
I always ask very thought-provoking questions, mate. Might be part of my job.
And it actually got me thinking, I'm like, it would be so much more comfortable to watch it from home. Just watch it from home.
But would it?
Yeah. It really would. It would be a really more comfortable experience to watch it from home. I'd be nice and warm and toasty with my blue tea.
I'll ask you this as an extension of the question. How many people do you expect will go on Thursday night?
What do we get for that Gold Coast game? 26,000? Maybe a little bit more than that. That Gold Coast game in 23. We had about 26,000 at the MCG. It's Brisbane, you know, Fitzroy.
Fitzroy.
You know, the old Fitzroyans. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you. There's at the moment on this poll, which will last 24 hours, there are 468 votes, and 72% have voted no, that they won't be there on Thursday night. and I'm getting a lot of people that I converse with that are saying no. But there are some rusted-ons that are still definitely going. But
are you going?
Come on. Of course I'll be there.
Yeah.
Like, you think I'm smart?
I do think you're smart.
No, of course I'll be there. It's just the first thing I thought of when I left the MCG on Friday. What time am I getting to the ground on Thursday night?
I couldn't believe I left before the siren. I actually couldn't believe I heard it after. I've actually.
At home.
Have you received the pity from the Collingwood faithful?
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
So who's that on?
Yeah, well, yeah. I got an email from a guy named George, Collingwood supporter.
Shout out, George.
4 or 5 paragraphs. He's like, I used to watch the fan cams because it was a hate watch. He's like, I couldn't get enough of it. And he's like, I actually find myself loving your supporters and their passion. And it's like, it's so weird. It's so weird.
It's become an inverse.
Like, it's respectful and like I appreciate it.
It's an inverse. Mate, Collingwood are asking us, excuse me, Carlton, any chance you could come along for the ride with us so we can actually make this competition a lot better than what it is?
Yeah.
And we just said, nah, not really. Nah, we'll just do our own thing.
What is going to actually... do you really think it's only sacking the coach?
No.
To get as in for the rest of for this year, to get like something. Like some sort of energy back into game day.
He can't get a response out of him now.
Yeah.
He can't get a response out of him now, mate. That's the problem, isn't it?
Like, I didn't even know. I've been saying, all right, look for the kids for the future and who's going to be there for the future. Like, okay. And then you look at him play, you're like, you can't put that much pressure on him. Like, or maybe you can. And you know what? Let's use Jackson Binns as an example, right? Like, yeah, it was a bit unfair and a bit of criticism around Vossi. Why'd you target Jackson Binns? But you know what? Yep. The actual glimmer of hope was the way he responded.
Yeah, he was good on the weekend in the VFL. Yeah, he was good. He was good.
And the way he said, no, I look at it as a sign of respect that Vossi demands more from me. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's the right attitude.
Right. So then the question goes, is that happening on a consistent basis behind closed doors? And why is no one responding in that manner?
Yeah.
That's the question that everybody's asking, is that if that's the response from him, why is it not filtering down to the rest of the team? Because at the moment, this is not necessarily... So everybody will talk about, the game plan, the way we play, the way we play, the way we play. The way we play to a certain point got us to a level of, okay, we know we're going to be very, very competitive not very competitive. We can win more games than not, right? And you can buy into that 100%, which to a certain point, I think everybody did. But now that has waned away, the lack of detail and the lack of nous in the game plan is really starting to be found out now, because there's no buy-in from the majority of them. There's no emphasis on running out games to the full extent with which they can. And now you're really seeing it fall arse end out. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Is Michael Voss the right coach? I think everybody probably knows the answer to that. But then alternatively and conversely, are these players, are they cut of a cloth that can really take themselves to the next level? That's the question too. It's judgment calls on every single department.
Yeah.
Every single department.
I don't know.
Look, maybe they could, and we were discussing this a couple of weeks ago, maybe they could just remove head of football and a whole heap of coaches, change them up, and then bang, all of a sudden we're there again.
Well, the pressure of finals it's gone now, right? Like, that's
pressure of finals.
Like, as in, how we've seen that happen with them. They stink it up first half of the year. Finals becomes out of the equation, and then they just magically win 4 games in the last. Like, I don't even know if that. It feels like that's not even part of the question, the situation here.
No, and we've never, I don't think really under this particular group, we've never really backs against the wall having to reverse form against a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
We've never really done it.
No.
Our wins against really good teams have been on the back of momentum and on the back of winning momentum. It's never come on the back of, oh, you've lost 2 or 3 in a row, not been really good, come up against Collingwood, come up against Geelong, come up against Hawthorn, come up against GWS, come up against Brisbane, come up against the Western Bulldogs when you're really struggling. We've never been able to really turn that around. Whereas you compare that to, say, let's say, for example, this year, Hawthorn went into that game against the Western Bulldogs a couple of weeks ago with some soldiers down, out of form. They come out and get the job done against the Doggies. We have not been able to do that. We've not been able to do that.
Yeah. What do you think about the situation regarding whatever happens end of this year? Like fresh slate. I actually think there might need to be I thought about this as well. Like, I think Stronger Together might need to be like, we think we need a new catchphrase.
I think we need no catchphrases.
Or just no catchphrases. But you're like something to look into.
I'll tell you what your catchphrase is. Carlton Football Club. That's your catchphrase.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth? You know what? We probably all got sucked into it, didn't we, to a certain point? But again, it's those slogans and whatnot. I agree. They're blindfolds of the masses, mate. It's a beautiful way of absolving yourself of accountability, isn't it? Oh, when it's all going, stronger together, stick by us all. Oh, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, stick fat.
That is going, mate.
Well, the reason why I say it's tainted, in my view, again, one of many views. The guy who put it together let us down badly,
and they're all gone, mate.
Yeah,
they're all gone.
Yeah. So, what about? Okay, so everyone's demoralized, and not everyone, but a lot of fans are demoralized and giving up.
I'm flat. Yeah, flat. But yeah.
Do you think there can actually be wholesale buy-in round 1 next year?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think? But like true buy-in.
Yes, of course, mate. Absolutely, there can be.
I just think it's only results now, though. No.
What, from now till the end of the season into next year?
Yeah.
Nah,
because
no.
I don't believe that if Graham Wright says we want to do this, this, and this, that it's just going to be completely blindly trusted. I could be wrong.
By as in us fans and members.
Yeah. The cloud of mistrust.
Yeah, I think it will because it's new faces.
How will we know that how will we know that the problems are not going to still be there without time? Because the faces always change.
Well, I'll ask you this, right? I'll ask you this. People in charge. I say the people in charge. Say the executive decision makers at the club.
Yeah.
Right. And not just because it was your interview or whatever it is, right? Just say, I'll just use that as an example, right? But just use that interviews. We can only take the man, president, whoever it is, for their words and actions and marry them up, right? So Freudian slip, right? Business and then, oh no, it's a football club, right? Okay, fair enough. Are the true motivations of all these people there, at the essence of their being, about football? Question number one.
Yeah.
That's if you can't answer that emphatically with a yes, then
it says everything. Literally, it said everything. You didn't need to.
See, this is the thing, right? This is the thing, right? And to say and to front it right. So to front up in front of me, and this goes for anybody, right? Whoever it is, president or coaches or captains or club, whatever, right? To say that, we need to let our actions do the talking. I can say all this, but if we don't do it, well, then why come out there? Like, what are you trying to project to a certain point? That's always going to be of concern. And then the concern is that decision makers in there at the moment, do they still have the tentacles attached to them of a bygone era? That's the query that a lot of people are left uncertain with at the moment, right? But their role now, and I think to a certain point, you just have to say, well, the people that are here at the moment, head of football, head coaches, they're not getting the job done. And that's inclusive of players too. So we've got to change the mix.
Yeah.
You can't continue to let it go the way it's going. So you've got to change the mix. But they will change it. But the question we're all asking is, is it the right change? Do we have full and utter trust that what you put forth will be the correct decisions going forward? We don't have that. After the North Melbourne game, after the Port game, like I said, if you were to put a vote to all the people who have made decisions, in the last 6 to 12 to 18 months with regards to the club, there'd be a vote of no confidence, mate. There really would be.
Do you remember, or does anyone remember why they got rid of this slogan? I don't remember the details.
Yeah. What is it?
No, I don't know. Like, when did we get rid of it? And does anybody know when and why?
What mens sana in corpore sano?
Yes. Like, I don't remember when it changed.
It's a good question, actually. I don't know.
I'm going to guess it was early 2000s, maybe, potentially.
Maybe. Well, it's not been part of our logo, has it?
Yeah. Just one more little thing.
The slogan that should be used, that's our actual that's our actual motto, is not actually been put at the forefront, is it?
Well, we aren't sound in mind, that's for sure.
They've forgotten themselves. They've forgotten themselves.
Hang on. Okay, Debbie asked about it at the AGM. They got rid of it when the refurn was done in 2019.
Okay, all right.
A sound mind in a sound in mind, sound in body is the translation. Yeah. Anyway, it's not. It's one of the many questions. It's not the most important issue, but yeah, I need to sleep.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems at the moment. So what do you do?
This just isn't what footy's meant to be about. It's meant to bring.
I mean, we're talking about stuff off the field. It's just like there's no.
Like, what are we doing?
Well, there's no identity, mate. What's our identity as a club? What is it? Everyone's in disarray, mate.
So this is where I guess the major problem is something around identity. What we used to be, what we are, what we need to be, and it's all got different opinions, and it's all got different. We just haven't been able to bond over the one thing that we all actually have an interest in.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask I'll ask the chat, and I've got a sort of list of questions that I had.
Yeah.
What do you want the club to stand for? I mean, I know I put this thing, and I think it was Candor on X, which I'll get up. And look, it was a little generalized, but I'll sort of flesh it out and write it out. But people can go and have a look on my X, and I think Candor sort of asked, how will Carlton retain most of its members? You feel they will have to take a loss before a game. They could reluctantly offer a discount or upgrade your membership. What do you think they'll do? Right. And I just answered, I mean, it's very, very generalized and holistic, but this is what I said. So it'll take a minute to read, but I said, I mean, at the essence, and this is a timely process to a point, I suppose, but I mean, you hire the best possible coaches, you hire the best possible head of football, you bolster recruiting and football resources, you funnel a percentage, I would say the entire percentage of funds from anything which devotes zero into on-field success into the football department. You find competitive edges in every which way you can, VFL pathways, NGAs, father-son recruiting, strength and conditioning, psychologically. Create a vision and a philosophy based on a set of principles which will lead towards a premiership with the idea of sustaining it. The vision, mission, and philosophy must align over a time frame with key figures delivering over similar time frames. We haven't even seen that. We need a progressive style on the field, not off it, which is a big issue for us at the moment.
That's a really... Say that again.
We need a progressive style on the field, not off it. That's a massive issue for us at the moment, right? We need to be aiming for the best at everything when we play, in the contest, outside of the contest, ball in hand, without the ball. And then the final questions, which I think are the most important one. How do you connect the nodes of a whole football club, fans, coaches, and players? What do fans, players, and coaches want? What do we all want? Simple, entertaining football that wins. But, it's fixable, right? But
of course it is.
The problem with us is we are inefficient in all aspects of our club. All aspects. On the field, off the field, all of it. And that's how do you get to an overarching philosophy that everybody can buy into, right? So for me, it's, go back to the core essence of your being. Anything else just pales in comparison. Rock said it perfectly before the Collingwood game. If you focus on football, everything else will take care of itself. You'll have an inclusive environment. You'll have people coming from all natures of life. You'll have people coming along. You'll have people donning the monogram. We've gone the other way around. That's our problem at the moment.
They used the "Bound by Blue" slogan too early in history.
Probably.
It's kind of ready now. Like the club is the
chat. Like no one asked this, and that it's been lost. I think in all of this is that what do you want? What do you want to see from your club on the field specifically? What do you want to see? What do you want to see? Because look, Thomas, we're going back to this focus on winning games of football. We're back in this cycle and revolution. What do you want to see?
Yeah.
What do you want when you go to the game, right? And you sit in your seat, you scan your barcode into the ground, and you rock up. What do you want to see?
Buy-in.
Yeah.
No matter what they're doing, we've watched too many games now to know when they are fully committed to what they are doing and when they are not fully committed to what they are doing.
Yeah. So to me, the philosophy and game plan on the field of contest and pressure, to me, the way I see it, it's too vague.
Yeah, it needed to evolve because that's what got us out of 2020. That was a 2021 review. Yeah. Those were the two things that were identified: contest and pressure. And I would argue that's how Vossi got the job. Yeah. But it needed to evolve, and it didn't. As in contest and pressure, get the foundations right of that, and then evolve.
Now what is it? Speed and power. But even that's just too.
Did we ever have speed?
Yeah, but even then, like what does that mean? It's just very vague. Like these terms and the terminology they're coming up with is, I mean, it's not even basics.
Yeah,
it's not even basics. It's very, very vague.
Yeah, you want to see a brotherhood out there.
Yeah, and it's not there. It's not there. And look, people will make comment about Charlie Curnow and Cripps and Mackay and senior players putting their feet up and not completely buying in, right? So as much as you have to be intrinsically motivated, you've also got to ask, well, how do the coaches get them to that point?
Yeah.
Or are they just always going to be players like that? The problem is all we can base it off is what they've always done as a core group, which is to a point got coaches sacked. But the problem is that they've probably all still got 5, 6, 7 years of football left in them, don't they? So what do? Do you cut it off now, 3/4 of the way through, and say, sorry, guys, can't
It's a
persist
great question.
So what do you do? That's why everybody is in this state of disarray and uncertainty.
Do you know that meme of the guy that's chipping away underground, and there's two of them? Yeah, and one turns around and he was only this far away, and the other one. Yeah.
But then you could also be chipping away to nothing as well.
Absolutely. You could be climbing up the wrong ladder. You could be chipping away down the wrong hole.
Maybe to a certain point you can't be absolutely definitive with everything.
Yeah.
So that's an issue, and that is going to have to be up to the people making decisions at the club. Well, I've got my idea of what I want it to look like, whether I'm right or wrong.
You've got a new world. How do we evolve the Carlton Football Club into the world that we live in today?
Yeah. Well, you've got to dedicate all your time and resources. I'm sure the reason these teams are above us, Collingwood and whatnot, because they dedicate more into their craft than what we do as a club. And Bugswell says it right. It ain't rocket science.
No.
Well, they put more time, effort, resources, and detail into football than what we do. That's it. That's all. That's it.
Focus. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
For one quarter, we went head to head with them, blow for blow. And then what happened?
Yeah. That's been the way all year.
As it has been, right, between these two clubs. So you look at the point in time between Voss and McRae, both appointed at the exact same time, right? And their paths have been completely different, right? Collingwood, when it was all going great for them, were just that little bit better than us on a constant basis. And that compound interest has finally built up to the chasm between the two teams. And that's what it is now. A 10-goal gap. And how many games are they ahead of us now? 6, 7? And that's the difference.
They're supposed to be old as well.
Well, let age be no boundary for them.
Yeah.
And it could be the same for us. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done. I do feel better than when I started, though. So there's that.
Yeah, but like I said, we've had this discussion. We're in the midst of it right now, where we're all feeling shit about it. We're all feeling sorry for ourselves at the moment because we're playing like absolute dross, right? Everybody's having a go at everyone. People are having a go at you. People are having a go at me in the chat. Everyone's having a go at everybody. This is what happens. This is what happens.
Of course.
And again, what's going to happen next year? Some people will drop off. Membership will probably drop off to a certain point. That's it. You missed the 8. You're not doing well enough. Go again. Get better. That's it.
Well,
funnel more resources, time, and energy into your football.
They'll have a lot of free memberships next year because you can never really delete your membership.
Well, I mean, they've got the database, don't they?
Yeah.
So Explicit Empress says it well. We're in chaos at the moment. We were. I'll tell you where we were. If you look at the yin and yang, we were in order because everything was going okay and everything's stable. And then we were trying to balance between that line of order and chaos, which is almost like a dance, right? And that's when everything's harmonious and going well. That great balance between order and chaos. We probably went too far one way, and now we're in chaos. Now we've got to realign ourselves again. And that'll be with different people.
Mate, just keep showing up. 7 more games to go.
Correct.
Chat, thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Paul, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Mate, thank you for having me as usual. And it's always a pleasure and never a chore, mate. And much love to everybody in the chat. We've all got differing opinions, and I just hope that we're all here for one thing, to make Carlton better and vie towards that flag before those mongrels in black and white get there. Mate, that's the truth.
Good night, everyone.
Hooroo.